What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another week of NFL picks. This weekend is officially the first weekend in December, and that really means this is the beginning of the final stretch. We now have, about 6 weeks left in this regular season. It's hard to believe, man, that we've come this far. It feels like week one was just yesterday. But that's the reality. That's what we say every single season. You got a lot of games this week that have some playoff implications, definitely. So without further ado, man, let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it. Last week, I did not have the best week, went 7-9. I thought it would be an upset week, and for the most part, everything really just went as expected, really, despite last night. Overall record, 111-69, lock of the week, 9-3, and upset of the week, 4-8. You got 6 teams on bye week this week. This is, I think, the last actual big week where there's actually bye weeks. It's like several teams have a bye week. I think next week, is the last week of bye weeks. I think you have 2 teams on bye weeks next week. And then after that, you're done with the bye weeks for the year. So the Baltimore Ravens, who definitely are on that bye week, looking to rest up as they really get prepared to make that final run. The Buffalo Bills, their season is hanging on by a thread. The Vikings, looks like they've definitely come back down to earth. And then really just some lackluster teams in the Bears, Giants, and Raiders all on bye weeks this week. All right, let's head into the action. Thursday night football in Dallas. 2 teams who played last week on Thanksgiving. Once again here, I don't know if people realize that. The Thursday night game the following week after Thanksgiving always sees 2 teams that played the week prior on Thanksgiving. This case, it's the Seahawks and the Cowboys. I think needless to say, the Seattle Seahawks, they've definitely, I think, it's been an up and down season there, and they're in the midst of a very tough gauntlet. The Cowboys, that offense looks as good as it has with Dak Prescott there. And another thing, too, they have not lost at home since, I want to say, week 1 last year. They have not lost at home all this season. It's been it's been 14 months since they've lost in Jerry World. And I think, you have to say that continues here. I just think Dallas is the better team all around. They're the more consistent team at this rate. Even though it is versus bad teams, they don't have a really good track record against the best teams they face on their schedule. Dak is maybe playing the best football of his career. That offense is lighting it up. We know that defense with Michael Parsons and company, DeRon Bland, the season he's having. And that Seattle offense with Geno Smith has been really inconsistent this season. So I think you got to say in this one that the Dallas Cowboys are going to pick up this win. Heading into the 1 o'clock window on Sunday. AFC South matchup, the Indianapolis Colts. And as crazy as this sounds, if it ended today, the Colts would be in the playoffs. As crazy as that sounds, the Indianapolis Colts, even after losing Anthony Richardson, with Gardner Minshew as a starting quarterback, would be in the playoffs. Visiting 4-7 Tennessee, Titans coming off of a win versus Carolina, which really is nothing when looking at it. But this is a division game. And I think when you're looking at these late season division games, obviously the Titans know their season really doesn't mean much of anything at this point. But man, it just feels like this is a game, that it really just feels like, the Colts, they've been winning, but you're kind of looking at how have they been winning. Division game in Tennessee. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Titans here, and I'm going to go ahead and say this is my upset of the week. I think there was another game I picked later on that definitely could have been, in contention for upset of the week. But I think this is a game with, more implications, that would be an upset. So that's why I'm going to go with this as upset of the week. Next game. All right, my Falcons, first place in the South, 5-6, visiting East Rutherford to take on the Jets. Now, man, we're going to talk about this game and all that later on this week, probably Friday, sometime around there. Man, I really hate to say this. I hope I am wrong. This is a game I know every Falcons fan basically is chalking down as just an automatic win. Oh, there's no way we're beating the Jets. There's no way we're losing to the Jets. There's no way we lose to this Jets team with Tim Boyle starting. But, man, the thing with the Falcons is I have to see consistency. I want them to prove me wrong. I want to be proved wrong. I want to look like an idiot here. Something tells me the Jets are winning this game. It's just something tells me that the Jets are going to win this game. And I want to be wrong. I really do. I want to come on here Sunday, talk about the game in a positive light. And the first thing I want to say is I was wrong about this game. The Falcons came out and handled business, but I just have a weird feeling about this game. And I know, that's going to piss off a lot of Falcons fans, but I'm sorry. I just got to tell it how I feel and see it. So I want to see the Falcons win as bad as anyone. I definitely feel like this is a game we should absolutely come out and blow the Jets out of the water. But the Jets do have a good defense. I'll talk about it more later this week. But this is just a game I have a really bad feeling about. And I want to be wrong on, but man, I got that bad feeling about. Next game, the Detroit Lions, coming off of that upset loss to the Green Bay Packers on Thanksgiving, heading down to the Superdome to take on the Saints. New Orleans, 5-6, coming off the loss versus the Falcons. Who dat now? Man, this is a game that honestly you look at and say that the Saints, anything can happen, but this just feels like a prime bounce back opportunity for the Lions. Dan Campbell heading back down to New Orleans where he was before he became head coach. Aaron Glenn heading back down there. They know that team and its makeup of some sorts. So I really honestly just think, man, that's what it boils down to. The Lions are a better coach team. They're a better coach team. They're a better team, period. I think they're going to really replicate a lot of what the Falcons did. I think they're going to get that running game going with Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. And you get Jared Goff going on play action. And that's how, they're going to beat the Saints here. So I'm going to go ahead, pick the Lions to bounce back. Next game here. Talk about a good game. A game that you would have looked at the beginning of the year and said, what is this? This game could have a lot of playoff implications in the AFC down the stretch. 6-5 Denver, riding the longest win streak in the NFL, versus 6-5 Houston. The Houston Texans, they dropped a tough, close one last week versus Jacksonville, but man, they've already exceeded everybody's expectations for that team. And we know they have an amazing, bright future. This is a tough game to pick. I feel like it's going to be another one of those close games. But man, listen, I feel like this is a game that definitely can go either way. But I got to take the hot hand here. I got to go with the Denver Broncos in this situation. Houston can definitely win and bounce back. But man, the Broncos are on fire right now. You got to give credit to Sean Payton, whether you like the guy or not. He's turned that thing around. He has those Broncos fans, I'm sure, believing the most they have in years in that team. And Russell Wilson looks like his old vintage self, the Russell Wilson we all were used to in Seattle. So I think it's going to be a close game, but I got to go with Denver here. Next game, the Los Angeles Chargers. It was a tough loss versus the Ravens. They really had many opportunities to win that game, but turnovers killed them. And New England has had, this is literally when we all said when Tom Brady left New England, when it was going to happen, we were talking about, they're going to go back to being shit. Well, this year, yeah, that's exactly what's happened. It feels like this is a game that the Chargers should come out and win. But in all honesty, man, I got to be honest. And this was the other game I said could have been upside of the week, but there really isn't many implications in this game. I think the biggest implication is I think this could be the game that gets Brandon Staley out of there. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Patriots. I just think that Chargers team has given out on Brandon Staley. They don't believe in him anymore. You're looking at it, he has blown opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. You're talking about a team with Justin Herbert that really could be right there with Kansas City, and they've just gone to shit. And you have to contribute a lot of that to Brandon Staley. So I'm going to go ahead and say the Patriots win here, and this is the game that gets Brandon Staley fired. Next game, Arizona Cardinals. 2-10 Arizona. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they just continue to find ways to win. Man, this feels like another one of those games. Obviously, it's not going to be an interesting one to watch. I think you got to go with the Steelers here. I'm going to go ahead and say this is my lock of the week. Granted, anything can happen, but I just don't think Pittsburgh loses this game. I really don't. I think the Steelers, they're just going to continue to find ways to win. And that's all that matters. They fire Matt Canada, and that offense actually looks like an offense. So, yeah, man, I think you got to go with Pittsburgh here. I think they're the better team. And Tomlin is just putting that team in positions where they are finding ways to win, and you got to respect that. The Miami Dolphins, on fire with that offense. That defense has been improving too, actually. They've shown signs of improvement too coming out that bye week. Washington, 4-8. It's been a tough season for them. They've dropped a few games that you can definitely say they should have won, especially versus the Giants. I don't know if you can say they should have won versus the Cowboys, even though I did pick them as the upside of the week last week. There's a lot of promise that's been shown with Sam Howell and Bieniemy, and I feel like, this is going to be a very high-scoring game. It just feels like that type of game. But you got to go with Miami in the end. I actually think this is going to be a good game. I really do. I think this is actually going to be game of the week. But I got to go ahead and give this one to Miami. I think Washington is going to drop this game. I really do. I think you got to give this one to the Dolphins. 4:05 window, the Carolina Panthers. An NFC South matchup here in Tampa. The Carolina Panthers are an absolute dumpster fire. Their owner is, I don't know what the hell he's doing, but he's running that franchise. David Tepper is running that franchise into the ground. Tampa Bay, they're really holding on, and obviously in the NFC South, we all know is a stingy division. The winner could very well be 8-9. I hope it's the Falcons, obviously, but this just feels like the one thing, though, is that whenever a team fires their head coach, they get that interim in there. That interim always seems to win that first game, but man, I just feel like the Panthers are in such a bad position. I just don't see that happening. I think it definitely could. I think it's probably going to be a close, stingy type ball game. I could very well see Carolina fighting in it, even leading in the game for most of it. I just feel like Tampa Bay pulls away in the end. Carolina is an absolute mess. I feel like that offense line's awful. Tampa Bay, they can still wreak havoc with Villa there. Bryce, that's going to be a nightmare for Bryce Young if he already hasn't had enough nightmares as it is. So I got to go ahead and pick the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this game. Heading into the 4:25 window. Game of the week, maybe another game of the year contender. NFC Championship rematch. San Francisco has been red hot ever since coming off that bye week. Philly, I mean, they're finding ways to win. Jalen Hurts very well might be the MVP of the league, even though I still say it should very well maybe go to a guy like Tyreek Hill. Jalen Hurts could very well end up being the MVP of the league. But man, this just feels like it feels like Philadelphia. They keep, I really don't know how to say it. I feel like they definitely, honestly, could have very well have lost that game versus Buffalo last week. The 49ers coming to town. They're red hot, off of extra rest. Philadelphia, they're beaten up. They just had to play a closely fought battle with the Bills in the rain. So they're beaten up. I don't know what the weather is like in South Philly this weekend. But I'm going to go ahead and pick the 49ers here. I think they're going to get their revenge from the NFC Championship game. Maybe not the last meeting between these two teams this season. Could definitely see this maybe in the divisional round, maybe in the NFC Championship game again. I don't think this is the last these two teams meet. But with that being said, you got to go with the 49ers here. You just do. And then 7-4 Cleveland versus the 5-6 Los Angeles Rams. To me, man, it just feels like what is setting the Cleveland Browns back is that quarterback position. And I don't know. It could be Joe Flacco starting. It could be P.J. Walker. I don't think DTR is starting this week. I don't think he should be starting, period. I would honestly go with Flacco because I just feel like he understands these situations better. But one way or another, man, I feel like you got to pick the Rams here. I feel like that Rams team, they're looking to go on a little run towards a playoff spot, you can say. I think they're going to be right there with Minnesota after that. Right there. I actually think if the Rams win this game and Seattle loses, they would be in a playoff spot. Man, you got to give credit to Sean McVay. That team has not given up, even though they don't have the most talented roster. They're a team looking to make a late season run. I think you got to go with them here. Stafford is playing as far as I'm concerned, at least as far as I know. So I think you just got to go with them in this situation. Sunday night football in Lambeau Field. Don't know what the weather's going to be like, but I hope it's that Lambeau weather. I think this is Patrick Mahomes' first time playing in Lambeau Field. Kansas City and Green Bay. Green Bay is another team. They're not out of it. They've shown growth. They're really growing up over the course of this season. But with all that being said, I think this is honestly definitely a game the Green Bay Packers could win, but I just got to go with the Chiefs right now. I really do. I could see the Packers pulling off the upset, but I just think you got to go with the Chiefs right now. That's a safer bet. I think this is probably going to be a game where I think this is a game where you rely on that running game and Isaiah Pacheco to really get going on the ground to make it easier for Patrick Mahomes, especially if it is snowing. And they get out of there with a win. And Monday night in Jacksonville, obviously Joe Burrow get injured, run what I think could have been a great game in Duval County. But still, nonetheless, have the Cincinnati Bengals and the Jacksonville Jaguars on Monday night. To me, this just – I think you got to go with Jacksonville. I think that's the obvious pick. Clearly, I think Cincinnati, their season has gone down the gutter, not having a Joe Burrow there. Even before Burrow got hurt, man, it was not the best season for the Bengals, even though they were getting back on track. This just feels like a game. And granted, Jacksonville has not been, winning every week with Trevor Lawrence throwing for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. They're really winning with that defense. I feel like this is going to be another game. You win with your defense. You get Travis Etienne going. Trevor Lawrence, obviously, he'll have his impact on the game, but I just really feel like this is going to be another game. Jacksonville wins primarily because of that defense. With that being said, man, that's the picks for this week. We're getting down into it, man. This is the final stretch of the NFL season, and it's exciting. So I'll be back later this week to talk about the Falcons and Jets. Until then, I'll see you guys next time.